Hello. Today I will be presenting my Google Earth project on the effects of mountaintop removal mining in the Appalachian Mountains. To get started, I think it is important to locate just where exactly these mountains lie within the United States. The Appalachian Mountains are some of the oldest on Earth, and within the US, they span all the way from Alabama to Maine. This is an enormous mountain range that runs through almost a dozen states. And the Appalachian Mountains are divided into three areas. These three areas are Northern Appalachia, Central or Middle Appalachia, and Southern Appalachia. To examine the states that are most heavily influenced and affected by mountaintop removal mining, we have to draw our attention to Middle and or Southern Middle Appalachia, as highlighted here in this blue area. The states within this region include Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky. Mountaintop removal mining is a cheap and efficient way for coal companies to strip mine resources from the tops of mountains. The most common and sought-out resource for this type of mining is coal. In order to gain access to the coal, mountaintop removal mining companies use heavy machinery to remove the top layer of vegetation, soil, and oftentimes rock. This is done in order to expose the surface coal that is then dug up and processed. This type of mining is used all throughout Middle Appalachia, but West Virginia sees the highest level of mining activity. This is one example of a mountaintop removal site. In this instance, this removal site is sourcing its water from the Kanawha River. Dozens of mountaintop removal sites source and use water from this river, and this leads to this river receiving a large quantity of pollution and contaminants. Other removal sites use valleys and rivers stemming from this river and other major rivers as a water source for processing, resulting in the pollution of those bodies of waters as well. Mountaintop removal mining sites also utilize a process called valley filling. Valley filling is where leftover debris from the mountaintop removal mining process is directly dumped into nearby valleys and streams. Valley filling results in major contamination of nearby valleys and streams, and in some cases results in the complete destruction of the entire river or stream itself. These streams and rivers then carry contaminated and polluted water throughout mountain communities nearby. A closer look at the water sourcing for this mountaintop removal site shows that it is being gathered directly from the Kanawha River and then directed through a series of pipelines from the top of the removal site. At the top of the removal site, we can see a good example of a drainage pond. It is common for mountaintop removal sites to use these drainage ponds that are naturally sloped to the curvature of the mining site. Water captured in these ponds, whether from natural rainfall or coal processing, contain toxic metals and harmful chemicals that require filtration and water treatment before they are returned to a nearby water source. The filtration methods used by mountaintop removal mining companies has been proven to be ineffective at removing all toxic trace chemicals and contaminants. A major chemical contaminant that is commonly left unfiltered and dumped in nearby bodies of water is selenium. Selenium has been shown to cause severe health problems in both humans and animals. This leads us to further discuss one of the biggest direct impacts of mountaintop removal mining, and that is water contamination. Nearby bodies of water are commonly contaminated as a result of this mining process, with mining debris poured into nearby bodies of water, clogging, contaminating, and in some cases completely eliminating entire parts of river systems. We will see an example of this as we continue further into the project. Water that is contaminated affects both humans and animals that rely on the nearby source of water. Water contamination has also directly resulted in declining populations of local animal species, with these animals dying from drinking or living within these contaminated bodies of water. This is Hobet 21. This is a mountaintop removal site located in West Virginia, and it is one of the largest of its kind within Appalachia. The span that this mining operation has caused to the surrounding land alone is over 25 square miles. This site in particular has also been heavily researched in regard to water toxicity. The downstream bodies of water from this mountaintop removal site have been shown to contain higher amounts of selenium and other toxic trace chemicals. As we take a look eastward, we can see the Mud River Fork. This fork is where the river is largest in diameter, and it continues to run down and through the entire mountaintop removal site. The water from this river is used in processing the mining waste and debris. Just downstream from the Mud River Fork, and not far from Hobet 21, many individuals reside in their homes right next to the river. With the mountaintop removal site using the Mud River water to process and dump mining debris, this leaves chemically contaminated water running through these mountain towns and communities. These areas rely on the water to drink, clean, and bathe with. In this view, you can see just how close the Mud River is to these homes. This leads us to discuss how water contamination damages human health. Mountaintop removal mining contaminates nearby rivers and streams that run through mountain communities. These individuals are then left with a contaminated water source to use for their needs. Countless individuals within these mountain communities commonly use well water, as it is too expensive to install a water hookup to a nearby city. The well water near mountaintop removal sites, however, are often polluted with highly toxic chemicals from the mining operations. The chemicals that the contaminated water carries are known to cause internal harm to bodily organs within humans. Some of these harms include reproductive harms. More specifically, an increased rate of birth defects for individuals living near mountaintop coal mining counties. Birth defects can also include respiratory, gastrointestinal, urogenital, and musculoskeletal issues. Other health issues heightened when living near mountaintop removal sites include cardiovascular disease and lung cancer. One heavily researched region in regard to this sort of contamination and the damage it has on human health are the coal mountain communities. The communities that live near this removal site live extremely close to where the mining takes place, and this presents a plethora of problems for individuals that reside in these homes, such as stray mining debris raining down on homes, or suffering from severe medical issues from water contamination. The coal mountain communities particularly suffer from water contaminants such as sulfates and other harmful contaminants. The harmful contaminants in this water also include an increase in iron and manganese within the running water in these homes. You can see this picture of the sink here as it is discolored from the high amounts of iron and manganese that is found in this water. Water contamination is not the only direct cause of damage to human health that mountaintop removal mining presents, however. Another very real threat to human health from these mining operations is stray mining debris flying off the sites and colliding with homes. The debris that falls from these removal sites can sometimes prove to be fatal for families that live near them. This sadly was the case for a 3-year-old boy from Inman, Virginia. His death was a result of a large piece of debris landing on his home from the mining site above that would end up crushing and killing him. Another direct impact of mountaintop removal mining is the threat and destruction that it causes to native animal species populations. This method of strip mining results in native animal species being poisoned, killed, and forced to migrate to other areas within Appalachia. The sheer destruction of the vegetation, soil, and rock from the mining process threatened the integrity of various animal habitats in the surrounding areas. With trees, plants, and fauna unable to regrow after the mining process, this results in near permanent destruction of animal habitats. This then results in a decline in native animal species populations within this region of Appalachia. As mentioned previously, mountaintop removal mining operations commonly use valley fills in order to dispose of excess rubble and mining debris into nearby rivers or valleys. The Connolly Branch River is just one example of how valley fills can eliminate an entire portion of a river system as a result of mountaintop removal mining. Completely filling these rivers results directly into the death of aquatic life that reside within these bodies of water, or endangering the native animal species that rely on this water source. As you can see, the Connolly Branch River is no longer actually a river with water. The aquatic wildlife that reside in these rivers and the animals that rely on the water from these rivers are affected by mountaintop removal mining. In some instances, mountaintop removal mining completely eliminates entire portions of river systems. For river and valley systems that are not completely destroyed, the water is left highly contaminated from the mining debris that has been dumped into them. This contamination leads to aquatic wildlife becoming poisoned or just completely killed. The contamination of river systems throughout West Virginia alone has led to a shocking 40% biodiversity loss of aquatic life within heavily polluted streams used in this mining process. The last impact I would like to discuss within this project is the plant biodiversity loss caused by mountaintop removal mining in Appalachia. The mining process requires the complete destruction and removal of the topsoil, trees, vegetation, and rock in order to expose the surface coal. The topsoil and rock is vital to the survival and growth of native plants and vegetation. When this topsoil and rock are destroyed and removed, it results in an almost permanent failure to regrow and replace these trees and plants, therefore destroying the land as it once was. A great example to just show how beautiful and diverse this region of Appalachia truly is at the peak of Black Mountain. Black Mountain is the highest peak in Kentucky and shows the almost never-ending display of deciduous forests that the region contains. Appalachia is home to many different types of hardwood trees that are unique and native to the region, as well as miles of flourishing rhododendron. This view in particular is bittersweet, however. You can see from this view alone the destruction that mountaintop removal mining has caused. These mountaintop removal mining sites are completely barren as compared to their counterparts that surround them. These mining sites display areas that have been completely removed and permanently destroyed any signs of the vegetation, trees, and plants that are native to this region. Unfortunately, destruction and mass deforestation is widespread throughout the region of Middle Appalachia, with mountaintop removal sites spanning more than 1 million acres. The deforestation results in severe biodiversity loss among the native plant life throughout the region. Many of the hardwood trees that are native to Appalachia are destroyed and cannot be regrown in the areas where mountaintop removal mining has occurred. In conclusion, mountaintop removal mining is responsible for water contamination, plant biodiversity loss, native animal species loss, and a plethora of health issues for humans near these mining sites. Mountaintop removal mining is slowly killing the natural topography and landscape of the Appalachian Mountains. An intervention to protect these forests, animals, humans, and communities within Appalachia is required and vital to end the destruction. Alternative fuel sources to coal should be pursued, such as wind and solar energy. This would help alleviate the demand for coal and lessen the need for mountaintop destruction. Mountaintop removal companies should also be held more accountable for the destruction they cause to the nearby ecosystems and communities. And here are references and a little more.